My knights, my champions, my friends. None of us have ever traveled so far from our home. You've left your comforts behind and walked many a step. But take solace in knowing what we do for Camelot. Just over those hills sleeps the enemy. The advancing army of Saxons. They believe they can withhold our freedoms and claim our borders. And although their numbers are great, the few I have by my side are the mightiest band of men I have ever had the pleasure, nay, the honor, to serve with. I could not be a more grateful king. Now rest, for tomorrow we rise at daybreak. Well, come on. Get some sleep. I said we need to be up bright and early. Let's go. I want to see butts in beds.
My king?
Yes, Sir Lancelot, my most noble and loyal knight. What be your query?
Arthur, now, you know I will follow you to the ends of the world.
But?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I'm sorry. It sounded like you were leading up to a butt fair.
Yes, I was, in fact. It is my belief that perhaps daybreak may be too early to rise.
You bite your tongue.
It is my belief as well, sire.
A2, Sir Galahad. Well, what be the problem with daybreak?
Well, as you said in your speech, which was a good speech.
Great speech.
I thought it dragged a bit.
We have been walking for many days without food or drink. And now that we finally have a chance to take a breath, you're sending us to bed? If I wanted a bedtime, I would have just stayed at home with my mother.
You still live with your mom?
She lives with me.
Well, I don't see any other kings around here, do you? So when I say we rise at daybreak, we rise at bloody daybreak.
How will we know when daybreak is?
I could set my sundial.
Stay out of this.
At least one of you is on my side. Thank you, Sir Robin.
Oh, no, sir. I'm actually quite tired, but I don't like confrontation.
Confrontation? You remember we're going into battle tomorrow?
My therapist said I need to tackle my issues head on.
Why is daybreak so important?
Because, Sir Lancelot, because it sounds more dramatic, okay? I like the way it sounds. And when we return to the kingdom, I want the bards to write about it.
Well, it's only us out here gonna see it. Who the hell's gonna know we didn't do all that? We'll embellish it a little. I mean, come on, are you telling me you actually ripped that sword out of a stone?
Of course.
Artie.
Fine. I pulled it out of a dead horse. But it was still very hard to do.
You son of a bitch!
Whatever. We won't rise at daybreak. When the hell do we rise then?
9:30?
What time's the battle?
On the itinerary, we have a battle scheduled for noon, but I wanted to squeeze in a walking tour of this local forest.
Why?
Oh, we might die tomorrow. I wanted the last thing we see to be something nice.
All right. Well, it's about 40 minutes from the battlefield.
What about breakfast? I'm not killing anyone on an empty stomach.
We don't think that'll take too long.
Well, what do you expect us to eat then?
You can feed on the glorious victory after we defeat the Saxon army.
All right, well, that's all well and good, but what about food?
Sire, I saw a local tavern that serves a continental breakfast.
Oh, really? Well, that sounds lovely. I hope you have those little muffins I enjoy so much. Very well, it's agreed. Tomorrow, they may take our lives, but death is a fleeting moment. Cowardice lasts a lifetime. Now rest, for we rise at 9:30.
9:30-ish.
9:30-ish. Wait, seriously? Hello world, this is The Last Minute. I'm Dustin Wong, and now the fake news. The US Supreme Court decided that evidence of innocence is no longer enough, which is to say, imprisoned people no longer have the right to present new evidence. So we went from innocent until proven guilty, to guilty until proven innocent, to just plain guilty. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, a report was leaked that the Supreme Court is planning to overturn Roe v. Wade, the 1973 case that guaranteed the right to have an abortion. Associate Justice Clarence Thomas was quoted as saying, "We must live with the outcomes we don't agree with." Okay, so at least one of them is on our side. Wait, he said that in opposition? Because that logic perfectly supports keeping it. He's against it? You sure? That's fucked up. The Republican primaries were also held in May, where the good news is Masson Cawthorn lost. And maybe next time he brings a gun to an airport, he'll actually get arrested. I'd like to say that's the last we'll hear from him, but guys like Cawthorn and Trump are like Chuck E. Cheese franchises. Their presence is relentless. After his loss, Cawthorn posted on Instagram, "It's time for the rise of the new right. It's time for dark MAGA to truly take command." So there's a dark MAGA? Have we been in light mode this whole time? However, bad news from the primaries is that Dr. Oz won in Pennsylvania, because ignorant TV hosts in office worked so well the last time. To gain popularity, Oz has begun promoting theories of voter fraud, which is still a pretty big talking point amongst the Republican Party. Sarah Palin is already claiming voter fraud for an election that hasn't even happened yet. A congressional seat recently opened up in Alaska, and Palin is already complaining about her loss due to the use of mail-in ballots. So not only can Palin see Russia from her house, but she can see the future. Quick, Sarah, what are tomorrow's Powerball numbers? How will Stranger Things end? Will I ever get married? But will my wife love me? It seems that the right will never be short on crazy, as Elon Musk tweeted in support of the Republican Party. Soon after, he received a lovely welcome basket, including a promised tax break, a jar of jelly beans with Reagan's face on them, and a fresh sexual assault allegation. Across the pond, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said employees should return to the office because when he works from home, he gets distracted by cheese. Not too inspiring to hear a leader can fall victim to a Tom and Jerry tactic. You know, maybe he didn't have those COVID parties on purpose after all. Maybe he just went to the fridge, hacked off a piece of cheddar, turned around and went, "Who the hell are you people?" I have no idea what he sounds like. And finally, Wired published an article saying to win the next war, the Pentagon needs nerds. All right, well, seems like a tough argument. Okay, roll a persuasion check with disadvantage. Oh, you meant the cool swordfish, Tony Stark, genius computer hacker kind, and not the Funko Pop collecting, cosplay wearing kind with lots of opinions on the Hobbit trilogy and a favorite kind of Pokemon. I mean, who even has a favorite Pokemon? Because how can you pick just one, you know? Top 3 in order: Charizard, Totodile, Snorlax. That's right, Charizard is number 1. He's the best. Wait, want to fight me? I'll grab my DS. We'll be right back after this.
Hey everyone, it's me, Ricky Hamilton, the producer for The Last Minute with Dustin Wong. And this month, we recently celebrated Cinco de Mayo. Now, I'm not Mexican. I'm white, in case you couldn't tell. But that doesn't stop me from celebrating festively and politely. So if you're a fellow Caucasian like me and want to celebrate the 5th of May, here are a few tips and tricks to ensure a buenos noches, which in case you didn't know, means good night. When you're going out for a drink to get in the spirit, you can order yourself a refreshing margarita. You cannot order a margarita. If you begin to feel the rhythm and want to hit the dance floor, you can cha-cha to some Mexican pop music. Just don't pretend to know how to say the lyrics. Amongst friends, you're welcome to share a few Spanish phrases here and there. However, in the workplace, or literally anywhere, it does not give you the right to correct someone on their pronunciation or their accent. You can even get the younger members of your family involved by sitting them down and watching Dora the Explorer. Just don't yell at her to rapido. She can't hear you. And even if she did, she wouldn't appreciate it. And don't be afraid to invite a Mexican friend to your fiesta. But they just can't be your only Mexican friend. If you're going out for dinner for a quick bite, you can visit any number of Mexican restaurants, including on the border. Just don't build a wall on the border. And finally, have fun. Enjoy Cinco de Mayo, because you can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Thank you. Or muchas gracias.
Actually, it's muchas gracias.
Liam, what did I just say?
So even if you didn't do the crime, you're gonna do the time. And if he wins the election, do we call him Senator Dr. Oz or Dr. Senator Oz? Either way, in other news, May was Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so it means everything everywhere all at once to me that at 93 years old, actor James Hong received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, being the 19th person of Asian descent to do so. If you don't know who James Hong is, if you've ever seen a movie or TV show, he's the Chinese guy. I know that sounds like a joke, but James Hong has over 500 credits. He's been in stuff like Blade Runner, Mulan, Seinfeld, Friends, Kung Fu Panda, Big Trouble in Little China, and so much more. He's also one of the founders of the East West Players, the country's premier Asian American theater. So I don't have anything funny to say. James Hong is just someone I admire, and this news couldn't make me happier. Anyway, on to the jokes. According to a study published by the Journal of Adolescent Health, the consumption of alcohol, cigarettes, and other substances amongst young adults fell following marijuana legalization. And that's pretty cool. In the world of technology, a new battery-powered submarine will be able to allow 120 guests to party for 24 hours, and the rest of their lives at the bottom of the ocean. In 2023, Apple will be dropping the iPhone Lightning port in favor of the USB-C. Still no headphone jack, huh? Alright. The author of the book, How to Murder Your Husband, was found guilty of murdering her husband. It wasn't difficult for the police to arrest her since she already had a written confession. In fact, she published it. Maybe instead, she should have written How to Murder Your Husband and Get Away with It. The leader of a feces-eating cult was arrested after 11 dead bodies were discovered during a raid. I'd say he's up shit creek, but he'd probably enjoy that. Plenty of legal news this month since the trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard came to an end, finding them both liable for defamation, but Depp receiving the better end of the deal. I'm glad Johnny's back, but if Amber Heard really wanted to damage his career, she should have made everyone watch The Tourist again. Remember The Tourist? Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie, made no sense, and for some reason was nominated for a Golden Globe. I mean, don't go watch it. It's really bad. In response to the trial, one prankster changed Heard's IMDb page to Amber Turd. Oh boy. I'm not one to talk. I just made a shit creek joke like a minute ago, actually. Speaking of celebrities who make me wonder if the fame made them weird, or are they weirdos who got famous, Madonna released an NFT of herself nude, giving birth to centipedes. The singer said a lot of thought went into the piece. For example, originally she was going to give birth to millipedes, but then she thought, nah, that's too many legs. More from the world of entertainment. Disney Plus is creating a new payment plan that will include ads, but will not take commercials for alcohol, politics, or rival streaming services. But we sure will. Ka-ching! Netflix released a statement to its employees saying, if you don't like our content, you can quit. And to its viewers, if you don't like our content, just keep scrolling. You'll find something. Something new, something you haven't seen. Maybe something like a documentary about opening a vegan restaurant. But then the restaurant becomes frequently visited by Alec Baldwin, and you're not really sure what the relationship between him and the owner is. But then she actually finds a guy who claims to be a celestial being, but in reality he's actually trying to hustle her for money to support his gambling addiction. Yeah, this is all real. This is a real, actual Netflix documentary. It's called Bad Vegan, and it's batshit crazy. So while you pull up your Netflix account to see for yourself, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
This episode of The Last Minute was brought to you by people who use umbrellas when it's sunny out. I'd never do it, but I admire your courage. Also by no right on red signs. But why not? And finally, your mother. Let her know I said hi for me.
And that's the way it is. But remember, the cops waited over 70 minutes before going to the school. Yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to address it, but I mean, how can I not? On May 24th, a gunman entered Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, and 19 students and 2 teachers were killed and 17 people were wounded. The shooter also killed his own grandmother earlier that day, but we don't have a gun control problem in this country. This happened only 10 days after a shooting happened in a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. 10 people were killed that day, 3 were injured. But we don't have a gun control problem. I don't ever hear stories about active knife wielders or mass beatings, but we don't have a gun control problem. It's just a coincidence that we don't follow the same preventative measures that other countries do when it comes to guns, yet we're the only country that reports on school shootings. But you say we don't have a gun control problem. I don't know how these people in Congress can sleep at night knowing their actions have led to the death of children again. After the Uvalde shooting happened, dozens of senators went on TV giving dozens of solutions, but not one of them was to take away the guns. Several solutions actually involved having more guns, armed guards at every school. In fact, arm the teachers. But after the shooting in Buffalo, in which the victims were black, no one said to arm the supermarkets. So stop hiding. Stop lying. Stop denying that it's not all about you. You there in elected offices have all the power to stop this from ever happening again, and you do nothing. Nothing. You say you're pro-life, but you don't give any thought to the living. So just say it. Say your power, your money is more important than the people. Because that's the truth. And although I personally would prefer to get rid of all the guns, no one in government is actually saying that. They're just asking for gun control. No one's taking your gun from you. But you wouldn't allow someone behind the wheel of a car if they didn't pass a driving test, because that person might kill someone or themselves. But it takes next to nothing for someone to get a gun. Not even a gun, but an assault rifle. They were kids. They were kids. Terrified, scared kids. The Second Amendment, your favorite beloved amendment, states a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This was written during a time of war, when farmers, blacksmiths, immigrants were trying to protect their new home. They were a well-regulated militia. So where the fuck is your regulation? Where the fuck were the cops? We got mad when we first heard they waited 48 minutes, and we're furious now that it's more. Protecting and serving nothing but themselves and their status. And not for nothing, but the Second Amendment is an amendment, as in a change. The Constitution's not written in stone. Things had to be changed as the world changed. This country needs to be amended. If we don't heal this wound, we'll never stop bleeding. I'm really sorry for ending on a sour note, but I'm angry. And maybe you're angry too. People can make you angry. And I hope someday we'll all realize that people are all we got. We're taking the rest of the summer off and we'll be back in the fall. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay smart. We love you. Have a better tomorrow. The Last Minute with Dustin Wong, a 20-something studios production. Hosted by me, Dustin Wong. Featuring Liam Foley, Ricky Hamilton, Steve Kalpin, and Ryan Phelps. Written by Dustin Wong, Liam Foley, and Ricky Hamilton. Cover art by Joey Bashan. And a special thanks to Axum Creative. Contact the show at thelastminute.tw@gmail.com. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.